Hey, welcome back here, guys. This is the Sportsneak channel, and of course, Tarylicious weighing in here. Usually I do overreaction Mondays. We may be a tad late this week. Both had really busy weekends, both Tarylicious and Justin Sauce, as he's called. So I'm gonna get right to it. I'm gonna make some bold predictions this week again. Let's get out of the ordinary here. But I'm gonna talk about the 5-3-0 teams and where I project them by the end of the season. So I'm gonna try to pick one topic, possibly three, moving forward. But let's get right into it. Let me know what you feel about these 5-3-0 teams. Where you think they'll sit? Where you think they'll go? Drop a comment about it and like the video, of course, if you want. If you want more content, we'll keep producing. I'm going to keep trying to be more and more bold as the season wears on, where we have more stats, more data. We can look at more stuff. So let's start off with the team I think is the best of the 3-0 teams, and that's the Los Angeles Rams. I think this one's pretty close between my top two, but I really like the way the Rams are playing. Stafford's really taken over that role at QB. His arm talent is something else. I think he really upped the value of this team overall. I mean, they do have a tough schedule coming up. They're 10th hardest strength of schedule, but I mean, this team's talent runs deep. And of course, on the other end of the ball, they're awesome. They're top 5D in the league. Both, sufficient running backs, a bit of injuries occurring right now, so that's kind of where their downfall is. But overall, Kupp is now on pace to kind of lead the NFL in both receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. I know I talked about Gronk last week. He didn't come out and get a TD this past week, but I think he can still do that TD lead in the receiving category. But Cooper Kupp looks like he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver. Stafford's looking to him on every play. Like, it's pretty obvious now. And of course, they have some depth around that. I mean, this week you'll see the matchup against another 3-0 team, the Cardinals. And I guess we'll find out which one stays 4-0 at this point. But I actually project these guys to go about 15-2 this season. So that's my bold prediction for the Rams. I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the league. Where they'll slip is probably in those late season games. And they'll probably lose one throughout the year. I mean, most teams do. So let's move right on to number 2, Las Vegas Raiders. They have the 8th hardest strength of schedule, but if you want to go back to my video, week 2 overreaction, look at the Las Vegas Raiders. I think they're a team to watch this season. Back on the defensive side of the ball, they're starting to look a lot better with Max Crosby. And I just think that overall their offense has a lot of weapons. And with Josh Jacobs hopefully coming back here in a couple weeks, you're going to see even more of that. So I mean, they've had a pretty tough schedule so far too, and I mean it's going to be hard going forward. But I mean, beating the Ravens, the Steelers, the Dolphins, 3 very good defenses in their own right. But I predict they're probably going to lose at least 4 times, so that leave them at 13-4. So that's my bold prediction on the Vegas Raiders. Watch out for the LA Chargers to kind of upset them a couple times too. They're really looking good. That division overall is looking good. We got 2 teams from that division in here, which is Denver and the Vegas Raiders. And then you got Kansas City and the LA Chargers all looking really good. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs now have lost 2, but very close games. Okay, let's move on to number 3 out of the 5 undefeated teams. And that's where I rank them. Denver Broncos come in at number 3. This is probably my boldest, putting them ahead of Arizona Cardinals, but I just really like this Denver team. I think Teddy Bridgewater came in, took over, is really like combating that offense into kind of a good weapon. And they have some great wide receivers, Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick's coming into his own. If Judy comes back from injury, lots of weapons on that offense to really look to for Teddy B. And their defense has always been good. It's usually ranked in the top 10. Really good up front, and of course Von Miller's kind of that main guy in that offense. But the one downfall is you're over projecting these guys being 3-0, considering their opponents so far this season are combined 0-9. So they've played at no teams that have even won a game. So I mean, competitive AFC West, they're gonna have matchups in that division over and over. But I think they stay healthy, they can contend. So I really like going bold, but I predict 11-7 for the Denver Broncos. This division is going to be tight, so that probably rules out the Chiefs and the Chargers. So let's look for that. Just be an exciting division to watch moving forward. So number 4, and I already mentioned them, Arizona Cardinals. They have the 13th hardest strength of schedule moving forward. So far they've beat the Titans and then probably should have lost to the Vikings. That game was up to a field goal. Of course, missed from not too far away. I'm a Vikings fan, so that's my bias. I got to weigh in with that. And then, of course, they beat the Jags, and everybody's beat the Jags so far. But, I mean, plethora of weapons again here. You got Kirk, Hopkins, Edmonds. There's a Rashawn Moore coming in at wide receiver. D's coming into its own right. It's a young D, but it's really looking good. Chandler Jones, 5 sacks in that opening game. So overall, I really like this Arizona team, but I think they like to slip. They like to have really up and down weeks, and I think you're going to see Kyler Murray come out one week really good and one week really bad. So that's kind of how I see this kind of Arizona offense and defense kind of playing. So I'm predicting 9-8, tight, close to playoff contention, but probably not getting in. And of course, they're in the division with the Rams, and I expect the Rams to kind of run over this division at this point. So without further ado, I got the last and my last ranked 3-0 team, and that's Carolina Panthers. I had such high hopes for this team after last week and going into last week. And they still won. They played the Texans. They beat the Texans. I mean, nobody expects the Texans to be great. Carolina has a great strength of schedule. Now what happens? They get injury prone. And this happens a lot in the NFL. And I mean, they lose CMC. It's looking like week to week. So we can expect probably 3 to 4 weeks unless he comes back sooner. JC Horn, their star corner they just drafted, goes out with a broken foot. He's in discussion of whether he even wants to finish the season, so he might be out. So overall, they played the Jets, the Saints, and the Texans. So not a real tough schedule thus far, and it gets quite a bit easier throughout the season. Their D is really strong, and it looks really fast, quick. But the more pieces they lose to injury here, I think is going to be their downfall. And then I just don't think Darnold is a quarterback that's going to take these guys to a big lead. The nice part is their division isn't that tough, so they do get the Falcons a couple times, which is good for them. But I expect about an 8-9 finish. And so that's my bold prediction. They're going to go into a losing record this season. So overall, I looked at the top 5 teams. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And look forward to next week. Hoping I find something else. Maybe I'll do the losers next week. Anybody that hasn't won a game. But of course, if you're looking for more sports content, we talk about the Thursday night or the Sunday games. And Justin does his Texans preview. So look out for that. So thanks, everybody.